All right, guys. We got a good show for you today. We have Vince Workman. He went to Dublin Coffin High School. He went to Ohio State, and he was in the NFL for 8 years. Thank you for coming on.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So obviously, I go to Kaufman. A lot of people watch the show go to Kaufman. Talk about your experience there, and what was it like playing for the team?
I had a great experience in high school. I had great friends, and we had some success in football and track. I ran track also, so I was very fortunate to be part of a well, I shouldn't say I didn't start a tradition because Dublin Coffin has always had good football in the 70s and 60s before I even was born. So it wasn't anything I started, but to be a part of continuing a tradition that was already there was very special. Like I said, I was fortunate to have a lot of success, but I credit that success to having great teammates and a great coaching staff.
Yeah, obviously, you're still the all-time rushing leader there. You know, when you left Kaufman, had to make a decision on what school you wanted to go to. You end up choosing Ohio State. What made Ohio State the school for you?
Well, I did my due diligence. I looked at other schools. I went to visit Notre Dame, Michigan State, that went to visit that school up north. But my heart was always with Ohio State. But my high school coach and my family had said, look elsewhere. We know this is where you really want to go. And to be honest with you, the last straw, or should say, what really solidified it was my meeting with Woody Hayes during my visit at Ohio State. And he just simply told me, he said, look, you're from here and you need to go here. And I just looked at him and said, yes, sir. And walked away. And, that was pretty much it.
Yeah. What was it like playing for Woody Hayes?
Well, I didn't play for him. He had already retired, but he was part of
Earl Bruce was there when you
I played for Earl Bruce, but Woody was still around. He was still, involved in recruiting at that time. And so, it was fun playing for Earl. He was a great coach, and really, we had a good relationship between he and I. And it's ironic because I see his daughter and his grandson all the time. I work at Peak Human Performance, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I've always been close to him and his family, and my teammates at Ohio State, we are still close together to this day. And it's just a one of those unique experiences. You grow up wanting to be a Buckeye, but you never know that if you're going to really get the opportunity to do it. And for me to have the opportunity to do it was just a dream come true.
Yeah. What do you think was your favorite memory at Ohio State?
Without a doubt, it was beating that team up north. It was in '87, Earl's last game. He had unfortunately was fired earlier that week, the week of the game, and it was bittersweet victory. It was sweet because we beat them at their place, but then at the same time, we were losing a great coach.
Yeah. So you were a captain for Ohio State. What did it mean to be a captain?
It meant the world, simply because to be a captain at an institution or a school like Ohio State, and to be voted captain by your teammates. That's the way we did it back then. I'm not sure the way they do it nowadays, but back then when I was there, your teammates voted on who the captains were. To be voted a captain by my teammates was very special because it showed me the respect that they had of me as a player and as a teammate.
Yeah. After you played at Ohio State, obviously you went to the NFL. What was it like hearing your name called, and especially going to a place like Green Bay, one of the best fan bases in the NFL?
Well, again, it was a dream come true, just like most players. And like as a kid, you grew up, you say, okay, I want to be a professional athlete or professional this, but when you're little, it doesn't seem a reality. But when it gets to that point where you have an opportunity and it becomes a big deal. And at the time I wasn't sure, I just wanted the opportunity to play. I didn't care where I was going to play. I just wanted the opportunity to play in the NFL. And I remember draft day. I think it was might have been one of the first drafts that they aired on ESPN. And I remember watching the draft at home. And actually, I wasn't even at home. I was in my aunt's place because we didn't have cable at the time where we lived out. Yeah. Cable hadn't got that far out yet. And so I was watching at her house, and draft cut off at 9 p.m. and they were going to finish whatever round they were in at that time. And so it went off the TV. But then at 9:05, I got a call from the Packers saying they drafted me. So I was like
That was
happy
fun.
to get drafted, but I was like, dang, I just
Dang.
missed having my name called on TV. But it was still fun.
Yeah, so obviously when you got drafted, you went up to Green Bay. Can you talk about that transition from like the college game to the NFL and like maybe like the struggles or what was the most challenging thing about that?
I tell people all the time. I've been asked that question a lot. The question I usually get asked is, was it a bigger change from high school to college than it was from college to pro?
Mhm.
And for me, it was bigger challenge from high school to college because uh, at the time, Dublin was a smaller school. We were in the process of growing, so we were still considered a farm school. Dublin was still a village. It wasn't a city yet at the time when I went to Ohio State. So that was a bigger difference. Now going from college to pro, it wasn't the biggest difference was just the speed of the game, how everything happened. But as far as size of players and things like that, the physical part of it wasn't a bigger difference because I played in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten was a physical conference. So the physical part about it wasn't as big an issue as it was just the mental part of it, becoming a professional and learning the game as quickly as you can. And that was one of the things my agent, who was Steve Luke, a former Buckeye player who also played NFL, one of the things he told me, he said, whatever you do, you got to learn your playbook as quickly as you can, because you're going to find out that, that's the biggest thing, is being able to make plays. And because everybody up when you get to that level are all great players, you got good athletes everywhere. So you're not going to be that much better or worse of an athlete than other players. It's about who learns the system and who's making the plays. So that was the biggest thing, learning the playbook and being able to make plays every day, not just on the game day, but every practice was like you're competing for your job.
Yeah. You were obviously a starter when Brett Favre played.
Mhm.
What was it like playing, like seeing him in his first game? And did you guys like know at the time this guy was going to be special?
Well, I remember when we traded for Brett, and that Brett was going to be special. You didn't, you can't predict. I can't sit here and say I knew he was going to be this, Hall of Fame quarterback and accomplish everything he did. But I knew he was special because he had confidence, and Brett was just a, regular old guy. He had fun like everybody else. He liked to party at times, and he liked to have a great time and a lot of fun. And he wasn't arrogant to the point where he thought that, oh, this dude's he thinks he's
Yeah.
all this and all that. He just was confident in his abilities to make plays, but he treated everybody the same. He didn't treat anybody different just because he was the superstar. I remember when he started as his first game, when he first came in and played, and then it was history from there. When he came in, our starting quarterback Don Mikowski, who was a good quarterback himself, he was a Pro Bowl quarterback, had a couple of injuries that kind of hurt him, and then Brett comes in, and the rest is history. But he was a great teammate, great friend, and fortunately, when I went back to work for the Packers, he was still playing. So we got to hang out a little bit more, after I was retired from football.
Did he ever ask you what a nickel defense? Because he's always famous for never knowing what a nickel coverage was.
Well, actually, I didn't even know that he didn't know what a nickel coverage was. He would. I think. I look back on it. He would come in, call a play, and run the play, but he never let any of us know that he didn't know what the heck the coverage was, or
That's
what the personnel was, nickel personnel. So no,
yeah,
I didn't know anything about it till I heard him in the interview.
yeah. I found that it was the funniest thing. I really wanted to ask you about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you left to win Tampa. What was it like
Mhm.
leaving a team for maybe the first time like in a while after, maybe building a rapport with players and, the staff at Green Bay?
Well, it was. I didn't want to leave Green Bay, but it was the first year of free agency, and it was new to everybody. And they made a few changes in Green Bay, and I went to Tampa because my first running back coach, um, Rodney Pete's dad, was the running back coach in Tampa, and I was being a free agent, I got courted by a few other teams. Miami Dolphins were looking at me. A few other teams were looking at me, but I felt more comfortable going there simply because I was familiar with the position coach down there, and we had some good players down there. I just think that sometimes when you don't when you may have a lot of change turnover, you don't give players a chance to develop. And I think with Tampa's history in the past, that was one of their problems. They were always, you had a new coach every other year. So it wasn't like anybody got a chance to really develop in the system.
Mm.
And Green Bay was on its way up at the time. Because they got Mike Holmgren was his second year there. And, we had Brett Favre and a few other players. Reggie White ended up being a free agent that the year that Reggie White went to Green Bay is the year I left Green Bay. So I did want to stay in Green Bay, but, it was more of a business decision than it was, a personal decision.
Yeah. After Tampa Bay, you had the opportunity to go be a part of inaugural season in Carolina. Not many people have that opportunity. Talk about that season and, what was it like being a part of a team that had, you wrote history the first season?
Well, it was, unique because, like you say, we didn't even being the first year. We didn't even have a home stadium.
Mhm.
We were in Charlotte, North Carolina, but we drove all the way to uh, Clemson, South Carolina, and we played our home games at University of Clemson. Because we didn't have a home stadium, they were in the process of building the stadium, so it was kind of strange in that way. But but it was fun because it was nice to be a part of a new team. There was a lot of players there that were from other teams, that a lot of guys I played against, some former teammates of mine that I had played elsewhere, and so it was kind of cool to do that. But unfortunately, I didn't get to finish the season with them because I was traded over to Indianapolis
Yeah.
after like 9 games of that season. So I ended up finishing with the coach that particular year.
Yeah. You
Which
still
wasn't
have
bad.
the catching record by running back with 12 catches in a game there with Carolina.
For the Packers, I do, yeah.
It said you
Yeah,
had
for
with
the
the Panthers too.
Well, with the Panthers, at one time I had 8 catches in the game. So that was the most by running back. And for the Packers, I had 12.
Okay,
So
good.
I'm assuming, I would think that I would assume McCaffrey would broken that by now.
I don't know. I was doing some research and it said that, but
Uh,
Google was wrong
oh.
a lot of times, so you never know. What was like your favorite football story? It could have been like when you were 4 or like in the NFL.
Well, I have many. Some I can't tell, but I have many,
Yeah.
many stories. Well, I could give you one from high school. It was very humbling. It was very humbling situation. And my high school coach and I, Todd Alice, are still close to this day. He was like father to me. I remember my sophomore year, we were playing, I want to say Olentangy at the time. And I was having a pretty good game. I think I had like 6 touchdowns in the game. And I was all excited and stuff, knowing I had a good game. It was homecoming. And I remember going up to him like at the start of the fourth quarter, or maybe the middle of the fourth. I can't remember what it was. It was late in the game. And I, said, "Hey, coach, how many yards do I have?" And he looked at me like, found his face, trying to see like, And he stood there for about 10, 15 seconds, which seemed like an hour.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, I don't know, but call up to the booth and tell Mr. Bidwell, who was our statistician." He said, "Tell Mr. Bidwell to take a pen, a black marker, and put a line under how many yards you have, because you're not getting any more the rest of the night. Now go sit down." So, so I didn't play the rest of the game, but he explained to him, "Look, it's not about you. This is a team. What I mean, you're worried about your stats when we're out here, worried about trying to win the game." But that, it's a funny story. We laugh about it all the time now, but it showed, he let me know, hey, this is a team sport and you're not to worry about what your individual stats are. And it just that's how our team was. We didn't care about who got most yards, who got the most touchdowns. As long as we were winning, it didn't matter.
Yeah. Those kind of lessons are very valuable. I've had the fair share of those.
Oh yeah.
I'm playing Division I tennis next year, but we had a few.
Oh, nice! Congratulations! Congratulations!
So we're learning too. So now that football's over, what are you doing post football?
Well, when I retired from the NFL, my first couple years after retirement, I was trying to find myself. Didn't really know what it was I wanted to do, and then out of the blue, I got a call from the Green Bay Packers, and they had a scouting position open. So they called me and asked me if I was interested in coming up and interviewing for a scout position. And so I went up there, and Ron Wilf, Hall of Fame scout general manager, offered me the job on the spot after the interview. And so I took the job and I moved to Green Bay. I was working for the Packers from 99 until 2006.
Mhm.
But after the 2000 season, I was moved to the weight room and became assistant strength coach. So as assistant strength coach, I got to work with the players more closely and things like that. And after the coaching staff was fired, which I was part of the coaching staff, we got fired. I stayed in Green Bay, and then my son finished school up there, and I became a personal trainer at one of the fitness gyms up there, and I've been a personal trainer ever since. And right now, I work at Peak Human Performance, which is in Dublin. Peak Human Performance as a trainer over there. I run the speed and agility program, and that's what I've been doing for the last 7 years now.
Yeah, it was actually funny. I asked you about this because actually, my coach, a couple of my coaches were saying I need to talk to you after this interview because I need to get faster for college next year. So, you know,
Yeah, hey, you know what? You come on over there. We can get something going over there. We got a few people. I don't know if you know Abby Elliott. She think Abby, you're a senior.
yeah, I'm a
Yeah,
senior.
Abby comes and trains. Abby trains with me. I have quite a few people that have come and trained with us over
Yeah,
there.
I need to get a better first step. My first, I'm more of like when I go, I like go slow and then I speed up real quick at the end. I don't have a great like
Right.
first step, and that's what I need to get better.
Well, a lot of that is reaction training.
Yeah,
I mean, that first step is more about reacting, being able to react quickly
yeah,
to what you're doing, the direction you want to go into. And I've trained tennis players. One of my kids that I trained played at Wellington, and now he's at Denison playing for Denison right now. So
yeah.
we definitely can work on that.
Okay. Well, Vince, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate it. It means a lot.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure. It was definitely a pleasure, and I'm glad we finally got together to do this. But I appreciate you asking me to do this.